Hey there, folks. This is Mr. Young, and I'm going to take you through some notes on page 47 of how to convert any units. So, top of page 47, jot that down. We're learning how to convert any units in chemistry. Okay, now this diagram looks a little weird, but it's going to be kind of useful. Okay, now right here we have what we call our base unit. And in powers of 10, that's 1. 10 to the 0 is 1, so our base unit is 1. What does a base unit mean? I'll get to that in just a minute. On table C, the base unit, 10 to the 0, fits in this chart right between here. It's a little above 10 to the minus 1, but it's below 10 to the third. That's where our base unit is going to go. But what the heck is the base unit? Meters are a base unit. They're the unit for distance. Liters are the base unit for volume. Grams are the base unit for mass. And joules are the base unit for energy. We haven't talked too much about those yet, but those are our base units. And things like centimeters or kilograms or milliliters are all based off of these base units. So let's find out what is the system for how we come up with all those names and what exactly those units mean. Okay, in this system, the larger units are going to be up here on this staircase, and of course the smaller units are going to be down here. Now this system is all based around powers of 10. Okay, so if this is 10 to the third, this stair step will be 10 to the second, 10 to the first. Then we got our base unit, 10 to the 0, 10 to the negative 1, 10 to the negative 2, 10 to the negative 3. I put some in here so that you can get these in the right places. 10 to the negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way down to 10 to the minus 12. That's about how small we have to go for things like picometers, which are good for measuring the size of atoms and ions. Okay. All right, so what do we do with this staircase? Well, here's another good thing to point out. According to table C, there are some special names for some of these steps on the staircase, some of these powers of 10. Like 10 to the negative 1 is deci, like decimeters is a tenth of a meter. Okay? Centimeters are 1/100ths of meters. 1 over 10 to the second power is 1/100th, so that goes with centimeters. 10 to the minus third is milli. Okay? 10 to the minus 6th is micro. 10 to the minus 9th is nano. 10 to the minus 12th is pico. Where did I get these terms? They come right from table C. Okay, so table C tells you that a pico something is 10 to the minus 10th, a factor of 10 to the minus 10th smaller than the base unit. Okay, or a micro something, microgram, microliter, microjoule, micrometer, or micrometer is 1 divided by 10 to the 6th as small as the base unit. Or a centimeter is 1 over 10 to the second power, 1 over 100th as small as the base unit. Okay. Oh yeah, and don't forget, kilo is 10 to the third power. That means it's 1,000 times as large as the base unit. Okay, so that's our last special name that we have right off of table C. Okay, I want to point out something. 10 to the negative 2, you should know this from math class, is the same thing as 1 over 10 to the second power. And 10 to the minus 6th is the same thing as 1 over 10 to the 6th power. Okay, so a micro something is 10 to the 6th times smaller, or 1 over 10 to the 6th power, the size of the base unit. A centi something, like a centimeter or a centigram, is 1 over 100th, 1/100th of the size of the base unit. Again, that's all these powers of 10 tell you the size of the different units compared to the base unit. All right, and one last one to point out, anything that's 10 to the minus 1, that's actually just 1 over 10 to the first power. I'm not going to write the first power there because that's just 10. Okay, now down here, jot this down. This is where we get our ratios for converting. And this whole chart that we're doing here on page 47 is to show how you find a ratio to convert one unit to another. Okay, and really all we're doing is we're counting the hops, and we have to remember to take into account what is smaller. Okay, so let's try a couple of these, and it may start to make sense. Again, we're figuring out ratios for converting, and to do that, we're going to count the hops between the different units we're converting on this staircase. And we always have to keep in mind what's the bigger unit, what is the smaller unit. Okay, so for this first one, we're trying to figure out how many milliliters are in a liter. How many milliliters are equal 1 liter? Well, 10 to the third milliliters equals 1 liter. How did we figure that out? Okay, here's our base unit. Here is milliliters. Okay, and we'll down here. What are the number of hops on this staircase? Well, we've got 10 to the 0 and 10 to the minus 3. Okay, so milliliters are 10 to the minus 3 times as small as liters. Okay, now in terms of what's bigger or smaller, okay, liters are big, milliliters are small. So one big thing over here is going to equal many small things over here. Since it is 3 hops from 10 to the minus third to the base unit, that means 1 liter is going to equal 10 to the third milliliters because there are 3 hops between them, and because one big unit, the liters, equals many small units. So that's how you know where you would say one thing equals a lot of things. Okay, you can always just think to yourself, wait, what's the bigger unit? What's the smaller unit? Okay, one of the big units equals many of the small units. Okay, let's try the next one. Nanograms and grams. Okay, nanograms and grams. Well, nano is a very tiny unit because it's down here on table C, and grams are the base unit. So 1 gram, because grams are big, is going to equal many nanograms because nanograms are small. Why did I say it's 10 to the 9th nanograms? Well, because nano is 10 to the 9th. How many hops on the staircase are there between the base, 10 to the 0, and 10 to the minus 9th? There are 9 hops. So 1 gram, which is big, is going to equal 10 to the 9th nanograms, which are very small. Many small things equal one big thing. Next up, kilometers and meters. Okay, kilometers are big, so 1 kilometer is going to equal many meters because meters are smaller than kilometers. 1 kilometer equals many meters. How many? Well, how many hops between the base unit, meters, and kilo? Well, kilo is 10 to the third. How did I get that? Because in table C, kilo is 10 to the third. Okay, so 1 kilometer equals 10 to the third, or 1,000 meters. Grams to kilograms. Kilograms are big, grams are small. So 1 kilogram is going to equal many grams. Again, kilo is 10 to the third. So 1 kilogram is going to equal 10 to the third grams. Meters and picometers. A meter is big, picometers are small. How do I know picometers are small? Because on table C, I see picometer goes with 10 to the minus 12th. Okay, so how many hops between the base unit, 10 to the 0, and pico, 10 to the minus 12th? 12 hops. So 1 meter, which is big, equals many picometers, 10 to the 12th picometers. Finally, a couple tricky ones. Okay, converting milliliters to kiloliters. Neither of these is the base unit, but we just have to count the hops in between. Okay, milliliters and kiloliters. Kiloliters are big. Kilo goes right here, that's the bigger one. Milliliters are down here, that's the smaller one. How many hops between kiloliters and milliliters? Well, kiloliters are 10 to the third, milliliters are 10 to the minus third. That would be 6 hops in between, so that's 10 to the 6th milliliters in a kiloliter. Okay? Picograms and milligrams. Okay, picograms and milligrams. Well, milligrams are bigger, picograms are smaller off of table C. Milligrams are up here, picograms are down here. That means we've got 1 milligram, that's the bigger unit, equals many picograms, that's the smaller unit. And since we're going from 10 to the minus third to 10 to the minus 12th, that's 9 hops. Okay, minus third down to minus 12th. That would be 10 to the 9th picograms in 1 milligram. Okay, I'm going to go through a different kind of example of this, and hopefully this will make a little more sense. Oh, I want to point out one other thing. You could also say if 1 gram equals 10 to the 9th nanograms, you could also say 1 nanogram equals 1 over 10 to the 9th grams. You can invert those. It's just really straightforward math with powers of 10. Okay, if 1 gram equals 10 to the 9th nanograms, then 1 nanogram equals 1